Hey, everybody, this is Ramon Ray, founder of smarthustle.com. Thanks for taking the time to listen to the sound of my voice and, in fact, watch this video. So glad you're here today. All we do at Smart Hustle is motivate and educate and inspire small business owners to start and grow their businesses. But why, Ben, is the question. Why? We do this because we want to live the lives we want, supporting our families, supporting our communities, and having a good time. If you're hearing this interview, we'd love a 5-star review on the platform of your choice. If you don't like the interview, still give me a 5-star review. It's all good. But again, Smart Hustle Nation, Smart Hustle audience, welcome to another podcast on the Smart Hustle podcast. Ben Richmond, who's with Xero and heads the U.S. operation. I think I got that right. Ben, thanks for being here. We're glad you're here. How are things in your world, sir?
Oh, thanks for having me. Super busy, like everyone, surviving in this crazy world that we're in, but the sun's out here in sunny Colorado. So I'm super excited to be on the show. I love small business. My family, I come from a big small business family. I've seen all the trials and tribulations that small businesses go through. And so it's very near and dear to my heart. So excited to be here.
And I like that you said, Ben, trials and tribulations, because indeed we'll start on the downside, as it were. It's not easy. I'm a small business owner. I've started 4 companies, sold 2 of them. You know, I think there's this glamorization to some degree. I love Shark Tank and other shows, but like, oh, you're a small business. You're your own boss. You don't have to answer. Yeah, I have to answer to people, like paying my rent or my mortgage or my food or my kids or my family. So it can be challenging, because that's why they call us small businesses. But thanks for being here, Ben. For that, I appreciate that. Why don't we start off, Ben, with a bit. You're welcome to introduce yourself to us a bit more. And then more importantly, I know for you, recap for us, what is Xero? Talk about yourself a bit briefly, and then why don't you dive right in to explain what is Xero at the top level there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Ben Richmond. I'm the country manager for Xero here in the US. You probably spot from the accent. 5 years ago, I'm from New Zealand originally. So I grew up in New Zealand in a small business family. Went into accounting for a while, which shocked a lot of my family. But really I'd watched a lot of my family grow businesses, be successful, have failures. And for me, getting an understanding of the numbers, I thought was a really good foundation. So when Xero came along, which was this company born out of New Zealand that really created the category and revolutionized small business accounting in the cloud. We wanted to make it easy. We didn't want accounting to be this sort of teeth-pulling task, and we really wanted to connect small businesses with all the advisors that were around them. So they're all running their accounts on their desktop or PC. That information was fragmented, and so how do we put everything in the cloud? One source of truth that speaks the language of a small business owner, doesn't expect them to learn all the accounting jargon, but also as a way that allows them to get really close and connected to the advisors that they work with. And I've been with Xero for 9 years. We've grown all around the world. And I've been up here with the US operation for 5 years. So I've seen some amazing success stories with small businesses. I've also seen the challenges that they go through. And I'm also, as someone who spent time, and I called myself a reformed accountant, I could really see the opportunity for these modern advisors. So if you think about your accountant who used to be this, just do my tax, which is still really important, but they can actually move to being really, the key team support for a small business owner. How can they help with everything from what technology you should be using to helping you understand and navigate things like growth and your personal goals? And so that there's a much bigger role that they can play. So I've really enjoyed, in the 9 years I've been at Xero, challenging, supporting, and helping this accounting profession and all the bookkeepers out there come down this journey and leverage this technology to do much more with small business. Because like you, I just think, the small businesses are the backbone of our economy. They're people, they're humans, they're families in our communities. And, if we can help them get a leg up, the macro effect of that's huge. So I'm a big small business advocate.
I love it. I love it. And I'm hearing a dual message in what you're saying, Ben. As I hear you talk about partners and accountants and all those things and small business. Help us understand from Xero's position or your own. I'm not quite going to ask you to pick your favorite child, but almost. I'm going to get right to that line and ask a little bit, but talk about, meaning for those listening today, is a preference, and these are my words, not yours. Feel free to edit it, say it as you wish, but like, is it kind of, you're saying Xero's ideal is partner with accountants and people like that, and small business, go see them? Or is it, no, see us directly, not use them? Or pretty much is that one differentiation that you're very partner focused and saying, use the accountant, if you can help unpack what I'm trying to ask you?
Yeah, absolutely. So first up, set up on Xero directly
Right.
from our website, right? And obviously Xero is spelled with an X, Xero. So you can go to Xero.com, set up on the website. We help businesses get through the converting their data and then teaching them how to use the software, and then we connect them to advisors. So you can buy direct, and a lot of small business owners want to do it on their own, or you can go to your advisor we have lots of Xero partners out there across the US that will support small businesses and making sure you set it up properly, making sure there's an ecosystem now of over 1,000 apps. So for a small business, what that means is, if you think about in the desktop world, you used to have to run a box software, and that box, whether you're a cafe, whether you're a plumber, whether you're a farmer, you all sort of use the same box. So it was very generic, one size fits all software. Or you used industry-specific accounting software, which did a really good job for the industry, but they probably didn't do a great job on the accounting stuff because it's kind of hard, boring, and expensive to build. In this cloud world, what it's done is you can use Xero as like the accounting engine for your small business platform, and then you can build on different apps, industry-specific software like a golf club management app. And so that's really, for me, what excites me about that is that small businesses now have almost access to better technology than the big companies with these ecosystems they can build. And so if you think about it from a small business perspective, so not my favorite part of that question you just asked is, I highly encourage people like United States small business is super growth focused, it's super optimistic, but they have a real DIY mentality. And we believe that, hey, we think it's smarter to do it together. If you go into small business, it doesn't mean you're an accounting expert. You're passionate about your product, your service, your customers that you serve, and the accounting stuff. So that's maybe not what you're passionate about. And so
I'll tell you right now, Ben, I'm not. Yeah. You don't have to worry about. I hear some questioning in your voice. Let me just tell you right now, Ramon Ray is not passionate in the least about accounting. Continue. I didn't want you to know that.
Which is totally fine, right? And so that's what's saying, hey, there's a new type of accountant and bookkeeper emerging out there, one that's an expert in technology, one that wants to get to know your business goals and your personal goals around having this business, and wants to help you navigate that, and wants to actually be alongside you. Wants you to help, if you hit hard times, or help you proactively see if a tough time's coming and manage through that. So, we allow small businesses to pick their pathway, but, we highly encourage, the data shows that if you're working with a great cloud accountant connected around great software, you're going to do better. And there's a whole new service line of support that you can get than just the traditional support around tax. So we highly encourage small businesses to partner up. And we think that's they haven't done it traditionally. Well, one of the stats I saw was often small businesses won't even put proper accounting software in for the first 12 months and look for an accountant until they have that first tax deadline to meet. And in today's environment, which is crazy and changing lots, and particularly if you're looking to grow and you're pouring your own money into this, jump on something from day one that's letting you know how your business is doing, helping you map out different growth scenarios, and find those advisors that can grow with your business and help you navigate that growth as well. So don't do it yourself in the first 12 months. So bring that, there's help out there, and do it as a team, because it's much more better for mental health and confidence to be doing it that way.
But let's dive into that one more again, Ben, for the person who may not know. And after this, I'm going to ask you to address 3 different types of business owners. And this is more of a tongue-in-cheek question, but talk to the business owner. Ben, I got to pay my accountant $500, $1,000, whatever it is per month. All I got is simple accounting. I just want them to do my taxes and get out of my hair. Make the case. I'm going to put Ben on trial right now. You're on trial, absolutely. Ben. Make the case for why should I work with an accountant day to day, especially when I'm very small, when I'm just starting out, when no, I don't want to, they're weird people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, firstly, so I'll make the case for the crew that I'm making the case for, right? So there are accountants out there that haven't changed. My grandmother used to always joke with me, whenever I go and see the accountant, and they try and do small talk with me, I won't do any small talk, because they've got a button under the desk and they're charging me for every 6 minutes. Yeah. That is the era that is gone.
Okay.
And I'm defending this modern advisor, and they are selling the services much more based on value, not things like time and cost. So that they'll talk to you about different growth packages. Hey, for a startup business, this is our package for a startup business. And we're going to help you get on the right software, simple software to start with, and we're going to make sure it can grow as the business scales. We're going to give you enough help to help you navigate those first steps. And then our level of service can differ. We're seeing a lot more of accountants too, like exactly as you said before. I don't want to do my bookkeeping. I don't want to have to reconcile bank accounts. We're seeing a lot more people going, actually, if I can devote more time to growing the business and actually, getting out there and being with my customers, and have an accountant that's got a bookkeeper that can do we're in the cloud now, right? So they can be doing the bookkeeping, even if they're in a different state. Then let them do that. And not only that, they're doing it on the time, they're doing it regularly, they're specialized in it, they know all the jargon. But on top of that, because they're doing that work with you, they can start to actually look at insights. And so one of the things I say with small businesses that do their own accounting, we're often doing it after the fact. We've had a busy week, to your point, being our own boss out there, looking after our customers. And this whole idea of working in small businesses where we're going to get our weekends back with our families. And what happens is I've got to get the invoices out. And so they're spending the weekend when they should be having that magical balance with their families. They're spending the weekends getting invoices out. They're getting invoices out late, which means they're not getting paid on time. And all that after the fact data processing means they're never actually looking at any of the insights coming from that data. And so if you've got someone that's working with you and doing that, and it can be an outsourced bookkeeper to help until you're big enough to hire your own one internally, then they're doing it on time. The invoices are going out fast. They're chasing, the other softwares are chasing up people to make sure you're being paid. They're making sure you've got the right technology there. But more importantly, they're also able to give you advice and say, here's what we're seeing in the data. Like, I know you love that product line and I know your customers love it, but you're only making a 5% margin on it. So we've got to think about, are we pricing that right? Or do we actually have the right cost structure for us to be competing in that product line? And so all of a sudden you get these rich insights that small businesses have never been able to get to, because it's all just bookkeeping done after the fact, and we don't like doing it. So I think if you can work together, you can outsource those really eyeball pulling tasks so you can do what you're passionate about, which is your customers, and which is, growing the business and getting that balance with your families and thinking about growth. And you're going to get this rich advice that you've never had. And I think that is the modern relationship. And so my challenge to all this, accountants are also small businesses, right? My challenge to them is that we've always been told that we're the trusted advisor. Well, it's time for us to really take up that mantle and become this modern advisor. Think about the people we have and how they need to be champions of small business. We at Xero, we want to be the most trusted and insightful small business platform for small business out there in the world, to help them and their advisors and the communities they operate to better. But technology is the start. It's actually what the humans do with the technology. So what great small business owners and great accountants and bookkeepers are doing together on the platform is actually where the magic happens.
Ben, you have done a great case for accountants, and now Ramon Ray, because I'm the judge. No, I'm the jury. I'm the jury. Or I don't know. Something. I have changed my opinion. I now love the modern accountant. So well done, Ben.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you find the right one, but they are out there. Yeah.
And I like what you said, is that, historically it has been maybe just, and again, they've done their best and done well, but this modern accountant I'm hearing, I can see now where it's a true partner, not just like hourly service. We don't give a screw you. Yeah. That's the wrong word I'm using, but meaning what you just said, I guess I'm trying to say is that we're partnering with you. If you succeed, we want you to become $1 billion brand. We want you to grow. Yeah, we'll grow together. But if what I'm hearing you say is, if you're a small business, don't have too many transactions, you're just starting out, the compensation will be minimally like that, as it were, is what I'm hearing. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to restate?
Hold on. We'll tailor our service exactly to the, where you're at, and it's value-based pricing, right? So if I've done a good job as the modern advisor, then, I can position the value of what I'm going to do for you. And you're going to go, actually, that makes sense for me to, like, the opportunity costs that money or my time. And I think that's where small business owners often get stuck up, is your time is the most crucial thing. A big chunk of that time needs to be having a life. And many small business owners want to get more time back for their life and family. And a big chunk of your time is growing the business, looking for the next trend that you want to capitalize on. And if your time gets swamped by these very, eyeball pulling tasks like bookkeeping, then you get someone else to do that for you. So you can focus on where your power is, because as we all say, we didn't go into running small business because we wanted to do bookkeeping.
That's right. I love it. I love it. And I'm curious, can you talk to, Ben, the 3 segments? And again, feel free to restate the question, but talk to those that are just starting out, not using accounting services. Probably Excel, I'm guessing, is your biggest competitor. Could be wrong. Excel, pen and paper, and nothing, not like the small businesses are done, but just, I got money, whatever. That's probably Xero's biggest competitor, is that. Talk to those who think it's so small, I just want to use my ledger, or I'm just starting out. And tell me if I'm positioning this right. And then you have the middle, maybe smaller businesses like myself, maybe a couple 100,000 or low millions, maybe whatever it is. And then of course you have the high growth startups and, multiple $1 million brands. Any messaging you have to those 3 different buckets, if that's a fair question, if you understand what I'm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I mean, everyone who's starting out wants to grow up through the buckets, right? Your ambition is to get to either the mid segment, or there's the really entrepreneurial ones who want to go super big. And so I think starting out right from day one is let's start with the first bucket. I'm an old accountant. I freaking love spreadsheets, right? Spreadsheets are like, you can do so much with them, and I get it. And you are right, they are the biggest competitors is good old Excel. But if you're growing a business in this environment, you're putting a whole lot of cash in. You're putting a whole lot of your time and capital in, and we're in a really interesting time. You know, the trends are shifting faster than they ever have from a consumer trends perspective. So your business, as you think about growth, you've got different things you want to be like funding. You might want to go faster here. You might hit a road bump over here, and so you want to think about the spreadsheet's great, but if I get on something basic to start off with, where I can start to track income and expenses, and I can start to get to the insights faster. We call it magic, auto magic, right? So our basic product is like $12 a month, and you're going to get automatic bank feeds coming in. You can set up automatic coding, so the system's just coding those transactions. You can invoice on the go on a mobile. The minute you leave, if you're a service-based business, the minute you leave that client doing their job, you can smash the invoice out on your phone and they've got it. And then the system will automatically chase them if they haven't paid. And so all of those things are going to take so much time off you, even at $12 a month, so that you can focus on getting that business through the growth phase. And as you start to see green shoots in your new business, you're able to then start to, really see what those insights mean and chase them. And then, bring in an advisor and to make sure you set it up right from day one. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't go too big too early. And then setting up in a way that it can grow with you. So as you go into those middle-sized businesses, they may have more staff on board. They might even have their own internal bookkeeper. We've structured our product that you start with early, then you go to growing, then you go to established. And by the time you're at established, you've got full job costing, expense management, and so you can grow up through those SKUs as the business grows. And same with the bookkeeper or an accountant you're working with, you can grow the level of service you do going through. I think the biggest aha moment for me was during the worst part of the pandemic. Remember that PPP program just got, and it was funny because obviously the PPP was like, hey, if your cash flow is going to be in trouble and you need assistance, do some records and we can come and give you this loan. And then, by the way, we'll then track it somehow and then we'll forgive the loan if you use it on the right things. That created a really interesting moment for American small businesses. Yes. They were like, well, I actually don't know. I don't have a cash flow forecast. My records aren't even up to date. How do I get this money? Do I need this money? If I do get this money, what do I have to do to be compliant? And that created this really interesting moment where people ran to their accountant and went, I need you to help me with a cash flow forecast. And
that's where the accountants were like darlings of small business. Hey, I want to sit down with you now.
Yeah. And so my message to all three of those groups is let's not lose. We learned a new skill set. Like if you go to all that trouble to create a cash flow projection, make it live. I'm always saying to businesses, I always love to run the worst case scenario, a likely case scenario, and a best case scenario. And then you're modeling those cash flow projections out, and then you can get in control and go, right, if the best case happens, I know what I need to fund that. If the worst case happens, what would I do? And you can start thinking about proactively and working with your advisors. What would we do if we trend towards the worst case? That confidence of just knowing, and then as you run out and start doing the business, it'll move, things will change, and you can constantly be updating that. That's how you want to run, because then you're going to be confident and control. Just because you're selling lots of stuff and your customers loving the product, that's the most important thing for small business. But you mightn't be making any money. You might be about to run out of cash flow. And I always say, like, my analogy, I'm a bit of a car freak, but if you've got a great small business, and let's call it a Ferrari, well, cash flow is the fuel to that Ferrari. So if you've run out of fuel, that Ferrari is staying in the garage, it's going nowhere. And so it's, cash flow is king, it's queen in small business. And so understand your cash flow, understand the different pathways it might take through doing a best or worst or likely case scenario, and then have a plan for each of those outcomes. And man, that gives you a lot of confidence. Even if the story's not great, at least you know where you can focus on what you can control. And I think the PPP, great thing, disaster, debacle, whatever you want to call it, I think it taught us the importance of that and having up-to-date real-time information.
Yeah. So. And what I'm hearing you, Ben, three things that are coming out of what you just said. You've said the first one already, but as one is that's the value of the partner, the accountant, not to be adversarial, but to help you use a tool like Xero or whatever tool you're using for that matter. Even if you want to use it on rocks and stones, don't please. Exactly. But my point is, this advisor is the expert in that. So that's one thing I'm hearing you say. Number two, you don't have to be the expert on it, but based on my own experience, Ben, my own personal experience, because you're talking to the audience, I'm not an expert in this, but I have a little more knowledge than I had yesterday. And
Yeah.
tomorrow I'll have a little more knowledge than today, so I can click buttons. I can run this, I can run that with their knowledge. I now know what it means. And then 3, what I'm hearing as well, you talk about now I can grow the business. As you said earlier, I think I can work with, let's say Ben's my accountant. He can say, hey, Ramon, we can risk maybe buying this building or not. Let's try to invest $50 a month in analytics or SEO. You get what I mean? So am I repeating what I'm hearing you say, Ben?
Absolutely spot on. And I think it's like, there is so much growth opportunity out there, right? Even in this crazy environment. I remember coaching my own sister, and she's got a business that sells horse and equestrian supplies. She sells them online and that. And one of her biggest trade shows was coming up to horse owners all across New Zealand, and she'd run out of money. Like she's like, I have to stock up on inventory to make sure it's the biggest sales event, and I've run out of money. And she couldn't fund it. And so there's this massive opportunity she had to could go to, but she couldn't. She didn't have she had a moment where she didn't have the cash flow to buy all the stock up front. And so she said, well, can you help me with that, Ben? And I said, well, being a good big brother, I was like, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna help you get a cash flow projection going, and I'm gonna help you start doing this regularly so that this doesn't happen again. You have a great business, you're making a great margin. How have we got the business in a position where you don't have the funding to take advantage of this awesome event that's coming up? We found the funding and we got it there, but it's a great example of how so many hardworking small businesses out there often miss out on growth opportunities because they're lacking the fuel to get the car around the racetrack another lap.
And she loves equestrian and horses and things like this, right? That's what she loves. She's an expert in that. She can tell you how to comb a mane faster than anybody's business, but
absolutely,
like me, she's not a numbers person. Ben, so many things we could talk about today. Is there anything that you didn't talk about that you wanted to mention? Anything you wanted to touch on that I didn't ask you? This has been Ben Richmond, who heads Xero's operation in the U.S. We've learned so much about the modern accountant and more. But Ben, anything I didn't ask that you wanted to chat? I'm not in a rush. If there's anything you wanted to add or say, feel free.
I think small business is lonely at times, and I just the people that work for you are like family. It's not like big corporates where they're downsizing by 10%. You generally know the kids of the people that work for you and things like that. So it's lonely. There's a real sense of stress around it because you do feel for the passion that you put into your business and the people that work for you. And my big thing is you don't have to do it alone. There's lots of people, and not only are these advisors going to help you on numbers and things, they've also supported lots of businesses like you. So they've, so many people have been on this journey, have made mistakes that hopefully you might be able to avoid. And so the more sharing you can do, the more the community networks you can connect into, and these advisors you can get, you can hopefully avoid making some of those same mistakes again. And it doesn't need to be lonely. Because, when I think about, you hear all the politicians going, let's bring jobs back, and it becomes the big political football. It's like actually what brings job back, and I'll go back to my sister's example. When the desktop era happened, everyone moved to these big cities, right? And around, you had to be where your customer was. And I think it's really powerful for small businesses out there in rural America and places like the Rust Belt. Like you can have, my sister lives in a small town in New Zealand. She didn't want to move to the big city. She lives where she loves living, where her kids can, ride horses and they can be in a place with a much better cost of living. And she sells her product and services to all the big cities all across New Zealand where people have got far too much money to spend on horse gear. And I think that's really powerful for America. Like we can bring, small businesses are the ones that are going to bring jobs back at scale and keep doing it. They're the ones that are going to grow the economy, and they can do it from anywhere now. And so that's so powerful for communities that have struggled in recent decades as things have migrated to the cities. Well, the power's coming back to the regions. The power's coming back to those places that have got great lifestyle. And you can go live with a family and be with people that, your friends and your family without having to move to chase a dollar. So I think it's never been more stressful to be in small business, but the opportunity's never been as big as it is. So, do it together. Don't do it by yourself.
That is powerful, powerful, powerful. Ben Richmond with Xero. Thanks so much for spending time with us. And again, this is Ramon Ray with smarthustle.com, where you can find amazing interviews like that with me and Ben, even though this is the best ever, at smarthustle.com, the Smart Hustle podcast. Give us a comment. Tell us how you appreciate what we talked about. Give us a 5-star review. Click share and share with other people. That's all we do at Smart Hustle, is to educate and motivate small business owners to start and grow successful businesses. Why? As Ben and I just talked about, so we can live the lives we want to live, love who we want, and etc. Thank you all for joining me. Again, Ramon Ray, and join us at smarthustle.com.